Hi everyone, this is Payam from Budapest Real Estate Organization. In this video, I would like to give you general information about apartments rental in Budapest. I hope it will be useful for you. The purpose of the videos of our channel is to give you general information about properties in Budapest. However, I would like you guys to know that our office is located in the center of Budapest. We have 5-star reviews in Google and Facebook, and if you need our service, we will be glad to provide them for you. Before going to the main points of this video, I would like you guys to know that for every part of this video, there are or will be more videos in detail on our page, so you may want to press on subscribe right now. Let's get to the main point of the city, Budapest. As you guys may know, Budapest consists of two sides, the Buda side and the Pest side. Expats really prefer the Pest side, especially for their first year of living in Budapest, because of the better access of public transportation and more options of public transportation. So if you're an expat and you are planning to come and live in Budapest, make sure you rent an apartment in the Pest side, at least for the first year. Where to find the apartments? Obviously, the social media is one of the options, especially Facebook. However, I'm going to put some of the main websites of Budapest in this description, and you can see our own website right here, and you can check the apartments there. Our website is always updated and fresh, and I hope you will find a suitable apartment in either of these websites. Who is advertising the apartments? Well, there are owners, agents, and the management companies. From whom you should take the apartment, it really doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, you're mostly dealing with the owners. However, in case of management companies, they are there instead of the owner, so they are acting on behalf of the owner. Well, the point is you need to get better information before finding an apartment in order not to have issues when renting an apartment. Because usually in case of management companies, because they are the one dealing with you and you're not going to have direct contact with the owners. But this is actually not a problem. A lot of people find it as a main issue that they don't have an access to the owner. But if the management company is a good management company, you're not going to have an issue. The best way to find that out, you can check their reviews and try to find the people who dealt with them. Posting on Facebook is usually helping you a lot to find out about the management company and their behavior with their tenants who took the apartments from them before. In case of the agents, well, the agents are just trying to rent more and more apartments. They cannot know about the owners. I mean, even if they know, they probably won't tell you much. But the point is that the agents are usually there to find apartments for you. And once you rent the apartment, you're the only one dealing with the owner. So the agents are not responsible after that. Now you have to know that the agents do not require money from the clients, tenants, future tenants. So therefore, you're not supposed to pay any agent to find you an apartment. However, the agents should be glad that you actually chose them in order to find an apartment. So you have to know that the agents deal with the owners directly. The point is that usually you hear in Budapest that the apartments are supposed to be rented for at least 1 year. This is very common in Budapest, and one of the main reasons is that the agents put this period of time because that requires the most commission that they collect from the owners. What you have to know is that there might be an owner who is okay to rent the apartment for less than 12 months, but usually in case of the owners, in case of the agents, you are not reaching to those apartments, because that means that the agent is actually collecting less commission if the apartment is given to you. Therefore, it's very important in which part of the year you're actually looking for an apartment according to the duration that you need. For example, if you're searching for an apartment for 3 months or 6 months, in summer is very, very hard to get, because most of the owners and agents hoping to rent their apartment for a year from that summer to the next. So it's very important from whom you're asking what type of an apartment and where you're searching them. Let's talk about the contracts, the duration, and what is required for signing a contract. Well, after you choose an apartment for signing the contract, you will need the equivalent of 2 months rent, which they call deposit, and the first month's rent, which means that for an apartment, you will have to have 3 times the rent in your pocket. Usually this money is given to the owners in cash when signing the contract. However, of course, a lot of owners also prefer bank transfer. So when signing the contract, you're having this money with you. After signing the contract, you're paying this money. The 2 months deposit, we call the 2 months rent, the deposit is actually the money that you are going to collect back at the end of the contract if everything is fine with the apartment and you don't have any debt overdue. This means that the owner collects this money in order to have the same apartment back as it was given to you. So it's very important that to take care of the apartment, and one of the very important thing actually is that you cannot use the deposit as the rental fee. So a lot of times tenants at the end of the contract, 2 months left to the end of the contract, they ask the owners that, okay, you have 2 months rent with you. Well, that is not correct. However, some owners might accept it. It's very important about the relation of the owner and the actual tenant. That's irrelevant. The point is that according to the contract, you're not supposed to use the deposit as the apartment rental fees, neither the utilities. The cost of the apartments that you're actually going to have every month is the rent and the utilities. The utilities consist of your consumption that you're actually using and the common cost of a building. So basically, you will have to pay these two together. The common cost is always common, is the same amount every month. This is the amount that the building management has chosen for every square meter of an apartment. So the bigger your apartment, the more common cost you're supposed to pay. By the end of every month, the owner is asking you the rent of the next month and the common cost and the consumption of the months that is past. Well, you have to know that when you see the advertisements of the apartments, you do not see everything very exact. You have to be sure when signing the contract or before about the amounts of the common cost. The consumption is usually something that they can tell you like roughly how much you're going to use, because usually it's not, we cannot calculate the exact amount. It depends on the amount of the people and everything. There are some cases that owners ask for fixed amount of utilities to be paid every month and they don't want you to deal with the bills. That's okay. But if they're not going to deal with bills at all, then you have to know that obviously you're paying a little bit higher than the average consumption of one person there, let's say. So therefore you have to pay attention whether the owner is telling you you will have to pay according to your consumption or it's the fixed amount of money. The point is that once we're discussing the consumption, there's also some problems with the expat in Budapest. Unfortunately, they claim that the owner is asking for more money than their actual usage. One of the easiest way to make sure that doesn't happen is to check the meters numbers on the apartments. No matter if you have a newly built apartment or a very classical apartment, point is that all these apartments have the meter standing. That's what we call it here in Hungary. So basically when you're renting an apartment, usually the owners have to check them with you and write them down. It doesn't have to be on the contract, can be a separate paper, something that you both know about. You can take photos, and what's important is that according to those numbers, your consumption should be calculated. There is a little bit of a problem here, is that the provider companies like electricity company, gas and water, they're not exactly sending the bills at the right time, and the calculation of them might not be exactly according to the meters, because sometimes they give the calculation after months or a little bit more than a month, like 40 days or whatsoever. Even the Hungarian owners themselves have issues with it. One of the best solutions for it is to always try to calculate according to those meters, or pay some extra to the owners and then calculate every 6 months. So there are many different ways. But at the end of the day, what you need to see is those numbers. And if you felt that the owner is asking more than the actual amount that you're supposed to pay, you can always check those numbers and do calculations, and you can find all the units online, and there's some, you can put it on Facebook. There are a lot of groups, people can help you to know that how much is each kilowatt of, let's say, electricity per hour or something. So there is a way to calculate that. And remember, when we talk about utilities, internet is usually not the part of it when in discussion, because internet is very, very easy thing to manage in Hungary. So like you can always just get internet very quickly. In 2 or 3 days they come and install it for you. Sometimes the apartment has it, sometimes the owner gets internet, and sometimes the owner asks the tenants to actually get their own internet. So the internet part is basically you have to make sure that when you're discussing the consumption and other costs apart from the rent, you have to also assume internet, which is usually around 6,000 forints, let's say around 20 euros or less than 20 euros per month. I hope I told you everything about the utilities. During the busy seasons, it's a little bit difficult to deal with the apartment, and also especially after COVID, there are different things that we hear in the city. So for example, when it's busy time or when you are trying to get an apartment, you might hear from the agent or the owner to tell you, okay, you need to pay a reservation fee. This reservation fee is something that it actually makes sense. So you basically pay 1 month or some amount of money to the agent or the owner, and obviously you need to sign something that why you're paying this reservation fee. This means that they keep an apartment for you until you sign a contract. So let's say you just saw an apartment right now and you want to move in on Monday. There's like 5 days left till Monday, but we need to secure that. So in order to secure that, either the agent or the owner might ask you for a certain amount of money, and then you will sign a paper, and on that paper you should actually mention when is the date of the contract that will be signed. You need to be careful of the other terms written on that paper, that because usually if you change your mind, let's say you paid the reservation fee, you change your mind, you might lose that money. But if you don't change your mind and you sign the contract, that amount of money will be considered as a part of the money that you're supposed to pay. Let's say your first month's rent, that money will be deducted. So it's very important to know what are the other fees that you're paying before, and usually the reservation fee can be the part of it. We hear that now because of COVID. We hear that there's a lot of situations where the clients check the apartment online. Even me and my colleagues, we all go and take a video, and sometimes we just make a live video and show around the apartment, and then the student or the expat person who wants to come, he just says that, okay, I want this apartment, what am I gonna do? And in order for this person to come and have the apartment and then sign the contract at the spot, some reservation fee must be paid, which is the same as what I just said earlier at this part of the video. However, unfortunately, we hear about different type of scams happening, and you have to be very careful with paying reservation fee and why you're paying and to whom, to which account and to whom. It's very important. A lot of times you're gonna have to trust, and I hope if you're doing that, you're not gonna get into problem. I don't want to advertise our company so often on this video, but we take care of that for you. I hope you find your apartment on our website, and we make sure that doesn't happen, and we hopefully will have your review on our 5-star reviews as well. So let's just summarize. You search for the apartment on the social media, on the websites, you can check it on the description, and you find the apartment, you contact the person, and you may have to pay a reservation in order to keep that apartment for you. Make sure you read the contract well. We're going to talk about the contract way more on the other videos. I'm sure you can check them out. And you have to know that after signing the contract, then you will have to get the key. But on that moment, make sure you make a list of the apartments, stuff there. It's very important. I didn't mention it earlier in the video that when you sign a contract and you're receiving the apartment, you should have a list of the furniture or whatever it's there, and you have to check that there is not anything missing from that list, or there's not something extra on there. And make sure you write the meter standings numbers with the owner on the paper or something with their signature, and have the photos of them in order to make sure that your consumption is being calculated correctly. At the end of the day, try to trust and behave well, and be sure that in Hungary you mostly get the same from the owner as you give them. And I wish you best of luck. Don't forget to subscribe and support our channel and my company. Thank you so much.